Now, after we've finished the promises and the promises we read, and after the promises, after the talks about all the great things, after the first 9 steps, no matter how far down the scale we've gone, we'll see that our experience can benefit others. It talks about we will comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. We will have a new freedom. All these promises come after the first 9 steps. After we have those promises, our book says this brings us to step 10. And so step 10 suggests we can continue to take a personal inventory and write any mistakes as we go along. And immediately we see that word inventory again, and I think that we have to. It says, and we took one inventory in step 4, and it had some adjectives on it. It says a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And now, here in step 10, he talks about a personal inventory. That means an inventory of a total person. And if we have worked these 9 steps and learned the principles of human life, then we can see what a personal inventory details. A personal inventory would be an inventory of the total person. It will be an inventory of every facet of the human life. It would be an inventory of our spiritual well-being. It would be an inventory of our minds each day. It would be an inventory of our relationship with other people on a daily basis. Now, one thing about taking the steps, we always talk about the mistake of taking the steps. A lot of people try to take the AA program off the wall. They got the big book, and this is a great thing to take the program out of the book. But most people read the step off the wall and interpret it off the wall, and then try to take the steps as what they think it is. Now, and they make it something else. They say, well, searching, feeling, morals, inventory. But we get the idea that really means just before you go to bed at night, if you hurt anybody, say a prayer about it, do something. That's what, I don't know. That seems to be the impression you get at step 10 off the wall. It's one thing off the wall, but if you read it in the book, it's all together off the wall. Now, I look at that step, and it means just before you go to bed. If that was the case, that would help me a lot, because I'm getting to the age now where I don't get in a lot of trouble in the bed anymore. Most of my trouble is in walking around. I don't hurt too many people or get in squabbles in the bed. I was dangerous walking around in the daytime. That's when I got into trouble. So what's the advantage of straightening up everything, jumping into bed? This is a positive step. It's a step that we work throughout each day. If we work it as the big books, if we read it out of the big book, we'll find out it's altogether different than we interpret it. And this is why we always say work the steps out of the book. The big book, Alcoholics Anonymous, is the only book that gives us the instructions to take the 12 steps. Now, why should we take it off the wall and leave the instructions in the book? If we read it out of the book, it means say something different. We vigorously commence this way of living as we have cleaned up the past. We have cleaned up these things as best we can. They're not perfect, but for the first time we got them into some. It says that it is in a few months. We will find that we have gone some personality changes sufficient to recover. It didn't say that we perfect, but it says we should lose the obsession to drink here. We got things rounded up pretty good. But I remember when I come to this place, I remember when I had the promises in my life. Felt better than I ever felt in my life. God, man. Woke up one day and I said, something. One day I was at work. And I've been going to them old dumb meetings, listening to all them dumb people. You know what I mean? Wasn't no big deal. I knew they couldn't help me. You know what I mean? Didn't have number one book in 12 steps. And finally, doing all these things, I know that was stupid. You know what I mean? It wasn't going to work. Going to all these silly meetings, hearing everybody's story over and over. And finally, one day I was at work, and I said, what is this going on in my life? For the first time in my life, I was able to comprehend the word serenity. Now, serenity you have to experience. Your sponsor can't tell you what that is. You have to experience serenity to understand it. You have to experience freedom to know what freedom is. Because I used to walk around drunk thinking I was free. I wasn't free, I was just loose. So, and it dawned on me that for the first time in my life, I didn't know what it was. I couldn't, but these promises described it, you know, but nothing else described it no better than this. And it was the first time in my life I was able to experience this, as I know, this new freedom and this new happiness. And I could comprehend the word serenity, and I knew peace for the first time in my life. And I associated this feeling with serenity, and at that moment, for the first time, I was able to comprehend the word serenity. And I said, what is this? I don't want to drink. And I don't know when this happened. Over this period of time, is what the book said, through following these steps, through this process, the obsession to drink was removed. It talks about it here, and he says we go on. We have entered the world of the Spirit. Remember, step 2 said, came to believe, and Apollo greater than we disbelieved, and it said we took decisions, we took the actions. After step 5, it says this was the beginning of, we are entering the spiritual experience. This is the beginning. And step 10 says, after we finish 9, we have entered the world of the Spirit. Now, this is not overnight matter. We should continue for a lifetime. And we in Alcoholics Anonymous, we have a lifetime program. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. Now, as you know, as we took the inventory, in what step did we do? What step did we look for those selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear? In what step did we look for those things, somebody? Step 4. So in step 4, that's where we started that process. Looking for those things. Selfishness and dishonesty were our character defects. Resentment and fear were the things that blocked us off from God. So it says continue, really what he's saying, continue each day to take step 4. When they crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. What steps did we do that in? Step 6 and 7. Step 6 and 7. So step 10 is step 4 and step 6 and 7. We discuss them with someone immediately. Step 5. So step 10 is 4, 5, 6, and 7 so far. Then we make amends quickly if we've harmed anybody. 8 and 9. So steps 10 is a working. We don't have to go back and make that decision. But each day we go back from that decision and work out in these 2 areas. And we can really, we can see the possibilities of these steps. We ain't talking about maintaining. We're not talking about staying as you are. We can challenge anybody in the room tonight to work these 9 steps and go back each day and work steps 4 through 9 in your life and remain exactly as you are. Totally impossible. Because as you work these steps over, as you take step 4 every day, you're going to discover other things in your life. And as you talk them over to other people, you're going to learn more about yourself. And as you ask God to remove them, they're going to become less and less. And as you make amends, you're going to improve your relationship with other people. You're going to improve your mind. And you improve relationship with other people. And you're going to remove more things out of these 2 areas that block you off from spiritual growth. And you're going to grow spiritually, and your life is going to get better. You will not remain the same. So step 10 is really, it's saying, hey man, these things done got us out of hell. Now let's work toward heaven. And our lives are unlimited, but they're still yet limited to what we want to do. I think the greatest waste of the program of Alcoholics Anonymous is maybe not the people out there who are still drinking. We always say they're going to die, right? But the greatest waste of Alcoholics Anonymous is those of us up in the program who are not finding these things. We're coming in and not drinking and talking about how long I've been sober. We see them around AA. Got all kinds of people around there. Some sober and happy, some mediocre. Some say, I've been sober 25 or 30 years, and you want to buy them to drink. They're so damn mean, mad. You seen them kind, they really sick, bragging about how long they've been without a drink. There's nothing in this book. There's nothing, because we create those things. There's nothing in this big book that talks about the length of your sobriety. We created that. Nothing in the AA big book about how long you've been sober. There's a lot in this book about the quality of your life. Nothing about the quantity of your sobriety. See, those things distract us. What's important is what kind of quality have we got in our lives. And we can grow and grow and grow as we continue to work the first 9 steps each day. We watch for these things, and throughout the day, all through the day. It didn't say, and it says continue. It didn't say here, don't say anything about once a day either. We can say daily. Daily doesn't mean once a day. That means as needed. It says stop right then. You know what I mean? What is this? Remember, it ain't him. No way. It ain't them no more. Because I found that out in step 4. When I listed and analyzed myself, I found out with honesty, the problem is never them anyway. The problem is me. Amen. The problem is always me. If the problem is you, remember we know a new freedom. And if you're a free person, the problem is you. When the problem is theirs, you have enslaved yourself. If it's them again, you have enslaved yourself. But the problem is always me, because I'm a free man. What is within me that allows this to happen? Inventory it right away. See what it is. See what character defect. Maybe it's impatience. Maybe it's intolerance for somebody else. Maybe he was wrong. But what is within you that allowed this to hurt you? We're going to meet people wrong all day. We're going to meet people with problems all day because they got self too. Boy, they got self too. And they're going to make mistakes. But it don't make no difference what they do. What is within me that allowed me to have this resentment or fear? Is it selfishness? And look within myself when this happens. And I can see it right away. Right away. Because I'm a free person, I got to look at me. And once I see it within me, I might need to discuss it with someone else. It might have to. Maybe I won't. Maybe I can just see it myself. If I can't see it within me, I discuss it with someone and help them to find this in me. Then when I see that, I say, God, remove this. If I've harmed anyone, I apologize. You know, and I can do that, and you can work this little thing in about 10 or 15 minutes. And then you're free for the rest of the day. You got a great day. You know, and this is an awesome responsibility, but it's really what we said, you know, it's an awesome responsibility. My happiness is always now at home. It's mine. You know, my happiness depends upon me, not upon what they do to me, but how I respond to what they do. You know, when I remember in my early sobriety, I had hard troubles with these, and I had to develop little games for myself. You know, little. I knew I had to have certain things to trigger me into things. And I used to have a little stop like in the mid-morning. I do it in the morning when I got up, look at things, get things in some perspective as best I could. Long about coffee break time in the morning, 9:30 or 10, I stopped. And then noon, and then 4 o'clock in the evening. I had to have little things that I had associated with time. And then, you know, I could get myself whatever I found out I could get myself out of things. And my life didn't get so balled up. If I did it once a day, I'd be in hell of a shape. I found out I had to straighten my life out about every 3 or 4 hours. I had to bring it, get it straightened out. And it seemed like I wasn't getting any better. I'd get myself out of something in the morning, and about 3 hours or noon, I'd say, hell, that's what we got out of this morning. You know what I mean? And I seen how flaky I really was. You know what I mean? And my wife used to tell me sometime, you know, I'd do something. She said, I don't think you get no better. I said the same damn thing. I ain't getting no better. I agreed with her. But the more I would do this, the more I learned about me. You know what I mean? This is inventory, personal inventory. Learned about the business I was running. Learned about the stock in trade. You know? And the more I talk these things over with other people, you know, and it really got me. I got an ego. We all got an ego. And I was always going to my sponsor, and I'd talk these things, and then this got me. I said, damn, man, you know, this is... You're going to be talking to people the rest of your life. Ain't you going to never have no life? 3 or 4, 5, 6 months, I'm going down. Yeah, I got this. Then I said, but look, if you would watch yourself a little more, maybe you could catch these things earlier, and you could deal with them before they got that bad. You have to grow. You can't go to your sponsor for the rest of your life. Now, once we have... begin to learn this and begin to apply it to our lives. You know, as these character defects become less and less, other things begin to crop up. You know, a lot of things we would take our inventory in the beginning and got some things we're willing to let go of. And it's painful to let go of these things because, you know, these character defects, a lot of them are fun. You know, a lot of them are fun. You know, little things like criticism. You know, we all like that. We like to criticize another. You know, criticism, it seems to be, it just goes around, you know. And it's a put down of another person, pointing out his weaknesses to build up my own self-esteem. Maybe I don't do that, right? And we all enjoy that. Some of these things are enjoyable. But as our lives begin to get better and better, some of the character defects that we're able to hang on to, they're all right. They maybe don't get us drunk. They probably don't, no big deals. But as your life gets better, these things don't fit in there. They fit in there today. But as your life gets better, some of these things don't fit in there as your life begins to grow. And none of us set out to become perfect. That was my greatest problem in AA. I said, this thing will make you too good. I don't like it, man. And I said, damn, man, I don't want to be that good. You know. But you know, as we begin this kind of the goodness comes through in a reverse process. You know, we don't really set out for that, but the goodness in our lives comes as the results of willing to let go of these things a little bit at a time. And as our life gets better, we look at these things and we say, well, this is not very good now. We wanted to hang on to that last year, but you know, now that don't go with my life. That don't go with my life. And as we practice this, you know, early detection is the name of the game. Like any other problem, the earlier we detect it, you know, the easier and we can do it before it does less harm. So step 10 teaches us that, and it's something we have to practice. And we're going to make mistakes. We're going to hurt other people. We're going to be making a lot of amends for a while. And then later on, we'll be able to detect these things before they get that bad. Now, after we have worked step 10 for a while, we have another set of promises in the big book. We have a set of promises after step 10, just like we have a set of promises after step 9. We always talk about the promises on page 83 and 84. We hear them talked about a lot. But we don't talk much about the promises on page 84 and 85. It's very peculiar. I don't get into specifically on these things. A lot of people, guys in the book, they want to look at things about how many promises. Some people say it's 11 or 12, but whatever it is, there's the same number of promises come after step 10 that come after step 9. Same number. We don't talk about those much. Now, after we work step 10, it says, we have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol. For by this time, sanity will have returned. Remember, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Sanity has returned. Sanity has returned. It came home. We're whole. A little peace came back. A little peace that I had where I couldn't make sane decisions about alcohol came back. After it comes back, of course, what happens? We will be seldom interested in liquor. If tempted, we will recoil from it like a hot flame. We will react sanely when restored to sanity and normally. We will see that this has happened automatically. We will see that our new attitude toward liquor had been given to us. Without any thought or effort on our part. We didn't work at this. What we did, we worked for something else. It just comes. That is the miracle of it. We're not fighting it, neither are we avoiding temptation. We feel as though we have been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We have not even sworn off. See, that's the strange thing, that I haven't quit drinking. I really haven't quit drinking. I haven't found it necessary to take a drink. Every time I quit, it failed. So I don't want to go back to that. Instead, the problem has been removed. See, I don't have the problem anymore. I don't have to not drink. If you still have to not drink, you still have an alcoholic mind, because the problem has been removed. Remember back on page 45 when it says, you know, the main purpose of this book is to enable you to find a power greater than yourself, which will solve your problem. That's the purpose of the whole thing. As we practice these steps, we said that we have, through the steps 3 through 12, now already we have found that power, and that power has removed the obsession to drink. It says it does not exist for us. We are neither cocky nor we are afraid. That is our experience. This is how we act as long as we keep in a fit spiritual condition. You know, we don't have to quit. We don't have to not drink anymore, because we don't have anything in us, that obsession, We don't have to fight this obsession. Why? Because through the working of these steps, this power greater than ourselves has removed this obsession. And we don't have to not drink anymore. You know, this is what the new alcoholic can't understand. I remember when I first come to AA, I said, well, you know, I got to quit drinking. I want to do that anyway. And I'll go down here and join this AA thing and be miserable with all them other people who had to quit like me. You know, that's what I thought about it. You know, I thought maybe, you know, we sat around and talked about, boo, we can't drink. But we don't have the problem. If you're a new person, you know, if you didn't have this obsession, you know, now I can make sane decisions about drinking. Over the last 24 years, I've never walked in a liquor store and bought a drink. Never walked in a liquor store. I've been able to make sane decisions about alcohol. One time in my life, I'd walk right in there and buy the same damn thing that killed me 3 weeks ago. See me? But I've been restored to sanity. I don't walk in there and say, hey, mister, I drank some of that 24 years ago, like the damn near killed me, put me in a nut house, lost my job, lost my wife, lost everything I own. Now, how much would you sell me another bottle of that? I want to buy some more of it. I would have to be insane to do that. And I have been restored to sanity. I look at it from a sane. And you really don't have to be a genius. A lot of times, a friend of mine said, you don't have to be a genius to stay sober. You don't have to have a master's degree to stay sober. You know what I mean? You don't have to have a college education. All you need is good common sense. That's all. Anytime an alcoholic picks up a drink, at that moment he does not have good common sense. And that's what sanity. We have been restored to where I have good common sense toward alcohol. Now, this is as we continue to work this throughout each day, and the degree of our progress really is it's up to an individual. That's why we can't. All of us are individual people, individual personalities, individual problems. We can't compare ourselves, but it's based on what you do. It's based on how much work you put in it. I see people who come into the program with good programs, good healthy programs, and they can make the progress what many people take them many years to make because they don't really work. It's what you put in it. It's the work on the individual basis. It has nothing to do with time. You can't compare yourself. So how do you work on yourself? He says it's easy to let up on a spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. For we are headed trouble for alcohol is a subtle foe. You know, it's really hard. It's easy to work when you're new in the program. But sometimes most of us get this thing off of our back and get all the things going good. And you know how we alcoholics like to do when we make success. Like the guy said, it's like the alcoholic dog when alcoholic flea, when he got sober, he went and bought a whole dog, his own dog. When we get sober, one of the greatest fallacies is, one of the greatest things that defeats the fourth dimension is sobriety itself. The success of sobriety, the recovery. There's so much comfort, there's so much peace, there are so many good things that come out of the sobriety when it happens. When these new things come to our life, what it brings into our lives is so overwhelming that it's hard to imagine working for anything better. It has built-in complacency. The program, actually, the success of the program makes us complacent. So these last 3 steps, this fourth dimension, is very evasive to many people in Alcoholics Anonymous because of the success that we get out of the first 9 steps. Every day is a day we must carry a vision of God's will into all our activities. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. These thoughts must go with us constantly. We can exercise our willpower along this line all we wish. It is a proper use of the will. And I love the book. After all, remember way back in step 3, we made a decision to turn our will and our life over to God as we understood. And we went through all these steps. And we come to this point, where God gives us our will back. On this page, he said, I'm going to give you your will back. And he tells us how to apply it. He says, you can exercise your willpower. You can exercise your willpower here all you want. And I think, this is a proper use of the will. If we work at this constantly, and we should, this is one area that, our spiritual life, our spiritual development, this is where we should exercise our will along that line. We should work at that constantly each day, because we really see that this is the foundation of our lives. Now, I love the preciseness of how the book is written. I always notice this. Each time I go through the book, I think, Bill gives us the book right here. Bill said, I'm going to give them their will back on page 85 after all this work. But it's so precise and so beautifully written. He gives us our will back on 85, but he gives us our sanity back on 84. It would be dangerous to get your will back before you got your sanity. So, now that we have worked these steps, we have worked the spiritual step, worked on our minds, our relationship to other people. And over here we have started 10, which is actually working in all 3 of these areas for a period of time. In step 3, as we begin, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives to the care of God. And then, through working to these steps, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, and 9, and even 10, we worked on these circles. We worked on clearing away the things that blocked us off, and God has become into our lives. So this thing is, now we come to step 11. And actually, this is the bridge. These 2 steps are the real pillars of the bridge. And it's all in step 3, we've made a decision to turn over our will. And in steps 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, and 9, we cleared away the things, and even 10, we cleared away the things that blocked us from God. And if we have worked the first 10 steps, they can bring us to the real power of the whole program, which is step 11. The decision and the action was all about finding God. Now we have a 2. We have been given these 10 steps has given us a 2. Through prayer and meditation, we can now receive God's directions into our life. So the whole thing is based on the turning over the directions, and 11 is now the receiving of his direction, the changing of directions in human life. The turning over of our directions, the clearing out with the other steps, and now we can receive God's directions. And if we have worked these 10 steps, it brings us to the ultimate 2 as we learn to apply that step in our lives. Through prayer and meditation, in step 11, we receive God's directions in our life. And next week we'll go into step 11.